That's what you've always wanted. You just wanted my power. As I stood outside the door to the overmare's office, I hesitated a bit. I couldn't just waltz in there without thinking. She's got hostages in there, and there's no telling what she'll do to them if I just barge in, guns blazing. But if I don't do something, worse than losing a hostage or two will happen. If she's in the main control center, the whole stable after all, she could rig it to explode, so no matter what, she still won. In her own head, anyway. I would consider mass suicide a win. I put my hoof on the panel and took a breath. Here goes, I guess. I opened the door, expecting a gun to be aimed in my direction. But what I saw when I came into the room was just full of innocent stable ponies. The overmare was gone. Joseph left when she saw we were gaining the upper hoof. The overmare. Do any know where she went? I asked, as all the hostages looked over at me in fear. Come on, please? I need to know so I can stop her. How can we know we can trust you? You invaded our home and killed ponies. Really? I just went through a shit ton of security ponies to get up here. Faced death and worse to save your pathetic lives. The least you can do is tell me where the overmare's at. I yelled. One of the stallions stuttered. She used the escape tunnel. She only left a minute or two before we actually came in here. I rolled my eyes and went over to the overmare's terminal. Luckily for me, she was in too much of a hurry to relock it. The first thing I did was press the button next to the terminal to activate the stable's intercom, and over the loudspeakers, I said, The overmare has just left through the escape tunnel. I need someone to get to the stable door and head her off right now. We can't let her get away. Then, when I finished, I went back to the terminal and used it to activate the emergency escape tunnel. The dusk started to rise. I didn't even wait for it to fully open. As soon as I could fit through the tunnel, I moved, pulling out my shotgun and started making my way through the tunnel. I could see a red bar on my EFS. She must still be hiding at the end. Not surprising. I'm sure she heard what I said and she was probably scared out of her mind. Good. As I drew closer to the end of the tunnel, a shot echoed down the tunnel and a bullet whizzed past me. I didn't even flinch. The shot was way off. I started to laugh a little as I slowly walked closer to the pony shape I could just barely make out in the darkness at the end of the tunnel itself. If you're gonna shoot at some pony like that, you should probably make sure you get a hit in with the first shot. A foal could hit me at that distance. Honestly, you're just terrible. I mean, that horrible shot didn't even scare me. Another shot, and it too was way off. I didn't even stop, I just kept going. As I drew closer, I heard the overmare say, Don't come any closer. The next shot won't miss. Sure it won't. You have no idea how to use that weapon. You should have taken some lessons from security, just in case you ever needed to defend yourself. Seems you've made a lot of mistakes over the years. That's one of them. I saw the gleam of the pistol come into view as she took aim again, muffling the sound of the grip. I'll show you, Shadow! I yawned and used my magic to rip the pistol away from her, tossed it down the tunnel behind me. Another lesson for you, Madame Overmare. If you're fighting a unicorn, make sure you hold onto your gun a bit better than that. Using my magic, I pulled the lever to open the door that led to the stable entrance. Light came flooding into the tunnel, illuminating the overmare with the lights of the entrance. She didn't look like the overmare anymore. Now she just looked pathetic, crying, weak mare. She looked no different than any other pony I'd seen in the wasteland who ran short on luck. Her face was wet and puffy like she'd been crying before I came down. Her eyes looked at me with fear. It was odd to see the once proud and bitchy overmare, scared of a little pony like me. I almost felt sorry for her, but I didn't. She deserved whatever happened to her. As soon as the door opened, 3 griffins from the Red Talons were waiting there with weapons ready. One of them was Gigi. She looked like hell. She'd gotten a nasty cut across her forehead. The leather armor she was wearing was torn from multiple cuts and gashes, and one eye was closed and swollen. When she saw me there, standing over the overmare, she grinned. Looks like you got to her first. Good job, Shadow. You're near the top level right now. Aura's fighting Gina. Someone needs to let Gina know that we still have the overmare, so she'll stand down. I said, my eyes not leaving her. I'll go help her. Can you handle things from here, Shadow? Gigi asked. Yes. Now go help her. The griffin gave a few orders, then took off to the stable. When she was gone, the 2 griffins who were with her stepped back and waited for me to make my mind up on what to do with the overmare. She looked up at me and asked, "Looks like you've won, Shadow. Now what are you going to do?" I pressed the barrel of my shotgun to her forehead. "I should kill you here, and now, for everything you've done." "Would that make you feel better? Shooting a mare while she's weak and helpless?" she asked, grinning up at me. I flipped the shotgun around and slammed the stock into her grinning face. She flew out of the exit tunnel, falling in the talons of the 2 griffins who were still standing there, watching me. She started to shake a little as I walked out and stood over her. She looked back at me, blood flowing from her nose and mouth. "You're still an angry little brat." Holstering the shotgun, I brought my hoof down on her face. Her head snapped back, slamming into the ground. I hit her again and again as I yelled, "Angry? You don't know what anger looks like, you cunt. Do you even care what you did to the stable that you were sworn to protect? Everything that happened is your fault." With each hit, she just kept laughing. It was like she wasn't even feeling it. When I took a second to breathe, she muttered softly, "Still an ignorant child." I lifted her in my magic and threw her over the railing of the walkway and through the open stable door. She slammed onto the rocky ground, sliding a couple of feet once she landed. One of the griffins tried to say something to me, but I pushed past them and moved towards the bitch who fucked everything up. As I moved towards her, I saw the fear in her good eye. She knew right then that I was going to make her suffer. With each step, I said, "Everything that's happened is because of you. My mom leaving me behind because you just couldn't leave us alone. Lying to me by telling me that she died. Making a filly feel like she was unwanted and hated in the only place she knew. Making it so I had to run away from my home because you wanted a fucking pipbuck. Killing so many ponies because you wanted power. Power that you already had. Splitting up 2 ponies who fell in love because you didn't like the way that your little buck grew up to be happy. All of it is your fault. The worst part is..." I was starting to feel tears running down my face. I wasn't crying. I was just so angry and hurt that I couldn't stop them from falling. "The worst part is, even after all the shit you did, you still let one of your griffins kill Balefire!" Her eyes went wide. The other was puffy and swollen. She looked like hell from the beating I gave her, but through that I could see the shock and disbelief. "No, you're lying. You have to be lying. I told Gina to make sure no pony hurt him." I moved closer to her, putting my face an inch away from hers. "You told Gina to keep any pony away from your office. He came up so he could try and talk you out of your fucking madness. Because after all, he still loved you and wanted you to stop. Gina told him no, and when he tried to get past, she beat him nearly to death. I found him right before I went into your office. He let out his last breath as I held him. Do you understand now? Because of the bullshit you pulled, Balefire's dead. Congratulations! You killed your own son, you monster!" Finally, the overmare broke. She slumped back to the ground and started to sob uncontrollably. No, my sweet little colt. My poor sweet Balefire. What have I done?" I pulled out Dreamwalker and pressed it right against her forehead. I wanted to pull it down so badly. It wouldn't be hard. Just a 4-pound pull on the trigger and it'd be all over. One bullet to the mare who destroyed so many of the lives. But I stood there as the barrel of Dreamwalker was pressed against her skull. Something came over me. Right now, in this moment, I wasn't seeing the overmare of Stable 28. Right now, she was just a grieving mother. It was as if I was watching my own mother, grieving over the loss of a child that she could have prevented if she just did something differently. I heard a small gasp from behind me. Looking back, I saw Milkshake looking down at me with tears streaming down her face. "Shadow, is he really?" I lowered Dreamwalker and sighed. Vervain was trying to save him when I last saw him, but I don't think there's anything she can do, Milkshake. He was hurt really bad. The overmare screamed as I said those words, and Milkshake fell and started to cry herself. "No, he can't be gone. He's going to be a father. I thought you said he would be fine, Shadow." I looked between the two mares and sighed, bolstering Dreamwalker. As I did, I saw 3 griffins walking through the door to the atrium. It was Gigi, Aura, and oddly enough, Gina. Aura looked like shit, but so did Gina. It must have been a good fight. When they grew closer, Gina looked at the 2 crying mares and rolled her eyes.
Ugh. I didn't walk all the way down here to watch 2 bitches crying. Shut up, Gina,
Gigi said, then pointed to the overmare.
You see, your contractor's done. So she is. That's if she was my contractor,
Gina said with a laugh. If the overmare isn't your contractor, then who is? I asked.
None of your business. I was only ordered to do whatever she told me to unless she was either killed or until my contractor could get here. From the looks of it, she's not gonna last long. I've got no reason to stick around here. Same goes for the others. What's left of them anyway after this massacre?
Gina said, starting to move towards the exit. Gigi moved to intercept her sister.
I didn't say you could leave yet, sister.
Gina looked at Gigi with pure hatred.
Step aside, Gillian. I've already held back on attacking you. Don't push it. I'm not a Red Talon anymore. I told you I was leaving and I don't give a shit what you tell me to do. I'm a free griffin now. Remember? As much as I want to kill you right now, Gina, I did give my word that I'd let you leave if you left my daughter alone. All I want to know is one thing before you go. Fine. I'll answer one question. After that, if you don't let me leave, I'll kill you without hesitation.
Gigi just sighed.
This new Talon group you're part of. Aura said you weren't leading it. If that's true, then who's the leader?
Gina just laughed.
My partner. He's a griffin who knows how to turn a Talon group. Unlike yours, dear sister. He's a griffin who will help me finally take down the Talon company who threw me out, without giving me a chance to defend myself. Yeah, Gina, I heard it before. What I want to know is what's his name,
Gigi said. Gina just smiled.
I said I'd answer one question. You asked who our leader was, not his name. Are you gonna live up to your word, or are you gonna betray me? Again?
Gigi sighed and stepped aside.
Go. But if I see you coming after my family or working in my territory again, I'll end you and your so-called unchained talons.
Gina walked past her.
You can try, Gillian, but trust me, you won't win. Goodbye for now.
She stopped for a second next to the overmare who was crying on the ground.
Oh, and overmare. Thank you for having my boss get all the information he needed from your stable. We don't need that useless piece of electronic shit anymore.
She looked up at the red griffin.
My son. You killed my son.
Gina punched her in the face.
I sure did. Let that be a lesson to you on how to define your orders you give. Someone might take them to heart.
She gave one last kick and walked out of stable 28. Sighing again, I looked over at Gigi and asked, "What happened?"
When I got to Aura and Gina, they were in a stalemate. I made a deal with Gina to get her to stop fighting Aura. You saw the rest.
Aura was sitting by the door just watching us. I looked up at her and asked, "You doing okay, Aura?"
Yeah, I'll be fine. I just had a hard fight with Gina,
Aura replied, her eyes falling over the overmare.
You need to finish what we came for. Worry about me later.
I looked back down at the pathetic bitch. Pulling Dreamwalker back out, I kept it pointed down. I still felt the anger deep down at everything she'd done to me. She needed to die. I know that deep down, but for some reason, I just can't bring myself to shoot her. Before I could make up my mind, I heard the voice of Vervain. Shadow. Again, looking away from the overmare towards Vervain, who was standing at the entrance of the atrium. The look on her face told me what I feared. She wasn't able to save Balefire. I closed my eyes. He didn't make it, did he? I was able to revive him, but he needs to see a doctor soon. I took him to the clinic, but Doc is dead. I don't know enough to help, she replied, sounding like she felt like it was a failure on her part. Aura looked up and said, I might be able to help. It all depends upon what shape the clinic's in, but I'll need help. Gigi didn't even wait. She pulled out a radio.
Sin, I need you to get in here and help Aura. There's a pony in here that's badly hurt.
A quick response came back.
On my way. Aura, go help this mare. I'll keep an eye on the courier.
Aura got up.
Show me where he is.
Milkshaped wiped her eyes and got back to her hooves, sniffing a little.
Okay, I'll go.
She looked back at the overmare, and then she followed Vervain and Aura back to the stable.
Balefire's alive,
the overmare said, looking up at me hopefully.
I want to see him.
I turned back around and pistol whipped her, throwing her back to the ground.
You don't get to see anyone in the stable after what you've done.
She grew angry, the shadow of her former self trying to push through the shell that was left over.
I'm the overmare. You can't tell me what to do in my own stable.
I hit her again. We're not in the stable anymore, dumbass. Haven't you figured it out already? You're not the overmare anymore. You're just a sad, weak excuse for a mare who used to belong to stable 28.
How dare you speak to me that way? I'll have you!
I hit her square in the face to shut her up. Feel what? You can't do anything anymore. How does it feel to be powerless, huh? Sucks, doesn't it? You feel angry and afraid. The same feelings I felt for most of my life living under your rule. You can't even put the thought of not being overmare anymore out of your head to focus on your injured son. I took a breath and calmed myself a bit. You're pathetic, useless, and powerless. The same exact things you used to say I was for so many years. I hate you so much that it pisses me off that I haven't executed you yet. I noticed her eyes looked around the cave she was now lying in. Then her eyes fell on me standing in the threshold of stable 28. She was shaking, bleeding, and, as I said, pathetic.
What do you plan on doing if I'm not here to be overmare? Are you just going to take my place in the stable?
No. The ponies of stable 28 are going to choose a new overmare, one they can trust and believe in again. For the first time in their lives, they'll be able to choose who leads them. They're not going to need a pony who can help lead them through the new life. Stable 28 won't be isolated anymore. They need to work with some of the ponies in the wasteland again. It's the only way the stable will be able to survive.
You're a fool if that's what you think's best for stable 28, to survive, Shadow. My mother tried that, and so did my grandmother. At first, we thought it was working. Then your mother came to our stable and everything changed.
I pressed Dreamwalker against her head. My mother has nothing to do with this. She left 8 years ago. It was after that you sealed the place off and forced us all to act like the way it always was. Most of the younger ponies never even knew the truth of the stable used to be because of doing that. Look what happened because you tried to hide it. It all got in a way, nearly destroyed it, because no pony knew how to defend themselves. None of that is because my mom, all she wanted to do was keep me safe. I was a sick filly who needed help, and your mother let her in to help us. That's because she was compassionate. She cared about the lives of her citizens and that of others. Not like you. The only thing you ever truly cared about is yourself, and that'll become your downfall. She glared up at me.
And look what that got her. My mother helped Grim, and Grim killed her for it.
That caught me by surprise. Wait a second. You know about that?
Yes. I was in my mother's chambers on the day Grim came to talk to her. She found some information that you two wanted to know about Grim. They were talking about in her office, and my mother just wanted to know why Grim lied to her about where you two are really from. That was it. She just wanted the truth. She didn't even threaten to kick you two out. She told Grim to just be honest with her and everything would be fine. And you know what Grim did? She used some kind of spell on my mother. She died in agony a few hours later. She screamed. I just shook my head. Part of that I already knew from my mom's notes. I didn't know that the overmare hadn't threatened to kick us out. But Mom was always distrusting of ponies. I could see her casting a spell to warn the former overmare to keep quiet about what she found out, or use a memory spell on her. Mom's note said she didn't know that spell would kill her, but it did. It was the start of her preparation to leave the stable. I know my mother killed yours. She left a note in this pipbuck about it. Sorry she did that. Truly I am. But my mother wasn't a trusting pony, and at the time, I'm sure she thought she was protecting me. It's no excuse for what she did, Shadow. No, it isn't. She did something bad, and that's no excuse for it at all. The same can be said of how you decided to treat me once she was gone. I was just a filly, and you made sure that I was always seen as an outcast. Why? Because you were angry at my mother? How does that help? You are an outsider. A pony that should have been cast out along with your murderous mother. She didn't just kill my mother, Shadow. She killed my brother, too, just because he wouldn't let her leave. Most of my family died because of her. I wasn't just going to let another pony like her get away with that kind of shit. I treated you the way that you should be treated, just like a filthy outcast should be. If my mother would have just turned you two away all those years ago instead of listening to Auntie, my brother and mother would still be alive. I smiled and started to laugh. You might be right about that. But do you know why my mom really killed your brother? No? Well, I'll tell you then. It wasn't because he wouldn't let her out of the stable. It was because he threatened to rape me. A filly. He was a pathetic excuse for a pony. I guess it runs in the family, since you're not much different. She glared at me again. Fireball was a good pony. He wouldn't have done something like that. I just shrugged. I don't know if he would or not, but I honestly don't care. He said he'd do it, and Mom made sure he couldn't once she was gone. Now, enough of this shit. Over. No, not Overmare. You don't hold that title anymore. You're just Wildfire now. How dare you call me by name? I struck her again. Get used to it, because you'll no longer be the Overmare. Now, Wildfire, time for you to pay for the crimes you committed against Stable 28. For the villainous atrocities against the stable, I sentence you to death. I felt a talon on my shoulder. I looked up and saw Gigi standing there looking at me. No, Shadow. It's not up to you to kill her. Dreamwalker was shaking my magic as I felt the hot rage of what she'd done. She deserved this. She needed to die. I'm not going to let her live after what she did. She chased my mom away and treated me like shit. She killed ponies that I grew up with, because one of her older friends may not survive. She needs to die. That may be true, Shadow. But it's not up to you if she lives or dies. As much as it may hurt, you're no longer a part of Stable 28. You need to leave it up to the ponies who still call this place home. I lowered Dreamwalker a little. But Stable 28 is my home. Wildfire didn't say anything. For once, she was smart enough to know what she did. I'd put her down before the griffin could stop me. Gigi just sighed. Shadow, Stable 28 hasn't been your home since you left it to go into the wasteland. It used to be the home of a scared filly, and that's not you anymore. You're Shadow Star, the courier of the Marave. It's something the rest of Stable 28 needs to figure out on their own. For a long moment, I stood there looking down at Wildfire, wanting to just pull the trigger, finish what I started to make her pay. But I finally put Dreamwalker away and holstered it. I just don't know if I can let her live. Gigi smiled. Do you know why the Red Talons banish griffins who betray our way of life? It's because killing is the easy way out. The easy choice, even if it's hard to do sometimes. We banish because it's a bigger punishment than outright killing. I mean, look at my sister. She should have been killed for what she did to our older sister. Even now, she makes my life hell. But it was still better to kick her out than to kill her.
I heard Vervain come up behind us. She's right, Shadow, as much as I agree with you about. She looked at Wildfire. Her? She shouldn't kill her. Wildfire looked hopeful as her eyes fell on Vervain. Thank you, Auntie.
I always knew you were a smart mare.
Vervain walked past me and bucked the overmare back down the tunnel. You need to shut your trap. I'm not doing this for you, Wildfire. I'm doing it for Shadow and the rest of our stable. Since you're no longer fit to rule as the overmare and you don't deserve to have a female descendant, I'm taking over as Stable 28's overmare until a new overmare is chosen. Wildfire got back to her hooves slowly, spitting a glob of blood on the ground.
You? What do you know about taking care of the stable?
Vervain smiled. I've been doing most of your job for years. And I'm more at the stable than any pony else because you were too lazy to do it yourself.
Let me guess. You're gonna take over as overmare no matter what, aren't you? That's what you always wanted. You just wanted my power! She yelled.
Vervain just walked closer and got right in Overmare's face. No, I haven't. All I ever wanted was to make sure the stable was safe and watch over Shadow. Even if I wanted to be the overmare, the bylaws say that only a pony who was born in Stable 8 can rule it. I'm no more native to the stable than Shadow is. She was taken aback by that statement.
What are you talking about? You've always been part of this stable.
No, I'm a member of the Steel Rangers. I took this place in one of your ponies in here years ago. Grim made sure that everyone here thought that I was another pony with a powerful memory spell. My real name is Paladin Vervain, and that's why I won't be the new overmare. Honestly, I think Milkshake should be the one to take over. But don't worry, Wildfire. I'll be sure to teach her everything she needs to know before she takes over your old job. Milkshake? Why her? I asked. Because rightfully she should take over. She's with Balefire, who's the son of Wildfire, and the former overmare, and she's going to have a foal who's going to be a descendant from her. I think is the best choice, Vervain replied.
And what are you going to do with me, huh?
Wildfire asked with a quizzical look.
Throw me in the holding cells or kill me?
Neither. I can't trust you being around the other ponies in Stable 28. There might be ponies in there that are still loyal to you, and I can't have them using their loyalty to start another uprising. As far as killing you goes, I agree with Gigi. Death is too good for a pony like you. What I think we should make you do is live in the wasteland and grovel in the dirt under the hooves of ponies 10 times as frightening as you. Maybe a few years of having to learn to survive on your own will teach you a new lesson. Vervain replied. Wildfire's face turned green and I could see fear in her eyes as she dropped to the ground.
No. Please don't send me out there. I'll do anything else. But please don't make me go out there.
Vervain just shook her head. It's the only choice you have. Now leave. Vervain pulled Wildfire up to her hooves and pushed her forward, forcing her to walk down the dark tunnel. Gigi and I followed, and as we did, Sin materialized out of the darkness. When she saw her mother, she asked,
Where's the ponies that hurt? Head into the stable.
And ask the security ponies how to show you to medical, I said. She nodded towards us, then flew past. As she did, I looked at Vervain. How is he? He's breathing on his own, but your griffin friend, Aura, said it'll be a miracle if he lives. That other griffin did a number on him, she said, pushing Wildfire again as we walked further into the darkness.
You can't do this to me. At least let me see my son before you kick me out. I'm his mother, and he might die.
Wildfire practically begged, dropping to the ground again. Get to your hooves, Vervain said, pulling her back up again, then pushing her down the tunnel. And no, I'm not letting you near him. He's only hurt like this because of what you did. As the darkness in the tunnel grew, Vervain and I both turned on our pip lights. The green glow from them helped illuminate the tunnel. As we walked, Wildfire kept on crying a little, and whispering that she was sorry and all she wanted was to see her son. Vervain and Gigi would then push her forward and pick her back up to her hooves whenever she fell or tripped in the tunnel. Soon we were coming up on the tunnel entrance. It was the first sight of the fight from earlier. when the Red Talons took on the Unchained Talons. There used to be an old wooden door blocking the tunnel. Now it was just splintered wood on the ground. The bones of the dead family were crushed and scattered, and now there wasn't anything blocking the dim light from the wasteland coming in. Wildfire started to shake as she looked out at the cloud-covered sky, the green mist that was only a few meters away from the edge of the tunnel. Dead griffins from both sides were laying around the entrance. A couple of stable ponies, too, that must have escaped from before the fight broke out inside. A few of them were still alive, most of them grouped around in beaten and battered-looking flesh. Pluck and Groger were there, too, and a couple of other griffins all wearing the band around their shoulders when they were part of the Red Talons. When we came walking out of the tunnel, Fletch looked at us.
I take it everything went okay in there?
Gigi moved over to her daughter.
I wouldn't say okay, but yeah, we've won.
Fletch, I'm glad to see you made it out okay, I said with a small smile.
Whatever. It's not like I was in any real danger. Gina may be a bitch that hates our group and family, but the only griffin in the family she wants to kill is Mom,
Fletch said. A few of the ponies slunk back away when they saw Wildfire standing next to Vervain, tears running down her bruised and broken face. One of them, however, growled and walked over. Well, if it isn't Madame Overmare, I'm surprised you're still alive. Vervain moved forward.
Tumbleweed, please quiet down. She's no longer the Overmare.
Tumbleweed? Didn't even recognize him. He was the colt who used to tease me all the time in school and liked to call me Little Dark Princess because of my color, whenever he could get away with it. He'd grown up since I last saw him. I guess time working in sanitation can bulk a stallion up some, and the scruff on his chin helped a little too. All in all, he was quite handsome. For a bully. Oh, but that bone structure, though. A mare who I knew worked in R&D came over to Vervain and asked,
If she's not the Overmare anymore, then who is?
No pony yet. We'll figure it out when things settle down. Right now, I'm going to run to the stable, and a new Overmare will be put into place. You should be the new Overmare, Auntie, a stallion in the back said. When I looked at him, I saw it was Tinker, Stable 28's pipbuck technician. Vervain smiled and shook her head. I don't want to take on the role full time, but could you help with something, Tinker? Yes, ma'am, he said, walking over to us. What do you need? I want you to remove Wildfire's pipbuck. He looked confused for a moment, then his eyes fell on the former Overmare. Oh, I almost forgot her name. No problem. He pulled out his master key and moved towards Wildfire. She tried to pull away, but Vervain hit her back again, knocking her to the ground. As she lay there sobbing, Tinker moved to her foreleg and removed her pipbuck. When he was done, Vervain cleared her throat. Wildfire, former Overmare of Stable 28. For your crimes against the stable and the ponies in it, you are hereby banished from Stable 28. You no longer allowed the privilege of communicating with any pony from the stable in any way. If you do, you will be hunted down and killed by a griffin from the Red Talons. If you try to come back, you will be killed. You are no longer a citizen of our stable. This punishment is the highest I can give apart from death, which honestly you deserve. But I want you to learn a hard lesson by living the rest of your days in the world you let into our home. Now leave, before I change my mind and decide that flaying you is a better punishment. Her eyes were dead as Vervain gave her her decree. It was as if she still hadn't figured out what was going on. When Vervain finished, Wildfire murmured,
I can't even see my little colt one more time.
Before Vervain could answer, I moved forward and said, He's not your son anymore. You're not his mother anymore. You're just a sad mare who needs to start understanding what's really going on. You're nothing to us. Just another mare wandering the wasteland. I suggest you get through Green Mist Valley quickly and head towards a town that'll take in a pony such as yourself. Now, get out of our sight. She started crying again. Damn, my friend said I was a crybaby.
I don't know where to go, or what I'll do.
Neither did I, and I made it. You'll have to learn how to take care of yourself and defend yourself, I said. She grinned, and then her hoof came up and struck me across the muzzle. For a mare who didn't do much but laze around and give orders, she could hit really hard. I fell back, and she pulled Dreamwalker from its holster and pointed it right at me, saying around the bit,
If I can't go back to my stable,
to at least see my own dying son. Then I'll finish what I started. A shot rang out, and Wildfire was thrown back as a bullet passed through her shoulder. She dropped Dreamwalker, which I made sure to grab with my magic as soon as she did. I looked back and saw Gigi holding a pistol that she had just used to shoot Wildfire. She grinned at me.
Don't worry. I made sure to keep her alive. Let that be a lesson to her to not fuck with the red talons or the ponies we're protecting.
I just shook my head and looked back at Wildfire, who was trying to get back to her hooves. That was the wrong choice, Wildfire.
Fuck you, Shadow! I'm not gonna let you tell me what I can or can't do.
She got back to her hooves and started to limp towards Green Mist Valley. Not in the direction of the road.
I'll be back. Mark my words. Once I make contact with some friends I've made out here, you'll regret ever crossing me.
Wildfire, don't go that way! I yelled, but she ignored me. She tripped and fell into the green mist. She got back to her hooves and yelled,
Don't tell me what to do, Shadow Star. I don't care if you're the so-called courier or not. I know you better than those idiots out here. You're nothing more than a backstabbing bitch. I'll be back one day, and I'll get back my stable. I'm the fucking over...
A flying shape came out of the mist, tackling Wildfire as she tried to yell. A thick, unpony-like ghoul and scream came from its deformed mouth. As it landed on her, it sank its teeth into her wounded shoulder, started to pull a chunk of flesh away. She screamed in agony as flesh and muscle ripped away in a spray of blood. A moment later, another ghoul jumped out of the mist and took hold of one of her legs and started to pull on it. Shit. This isn't what I had in mind, Vervain said, pulling out an energy pistol. I put a hoof up to stop her. No, this is the price she pays for not listening to us. We gave her a chance and she wasted it. Let the wasteland make its own judgment on what should happen to her. Gigi and Vervain looked at me in shock. Gigi said,
If we don't help her, she'll be ripped to shreds.
My eyes never left those of Wildfire as she screamed in pain as 3 more ghouls came out of the mist, each taking a part of her body and chewing or pulling whatever they could reach. As I watched, all I could say back to them was, Perfect. One of the ghouls bit down on her nose and pulled away a chunk of flesh. Another ripped off an ear. The one that was pulling on her leg finally managed to rip it off. Blood was everywhere, and soon her cries of pain turned into weak, desperate whispers. Her eyes going glassy as she turned to look at my own. Her gaze locked on mine, and her lips formed a few words.
Help me. Please. I'm sorry.
Even if I wanted to give her another chance, it was too late. There was no coming back from this. The only real help I could offer her was to put her out of her misery. Even I couldn't really do. There was what she deserved, after the hell she pulled and put the stable ponies through. What she put me through. What she put Mom and Balefire, or even Milkshake and her unborn foal through. Only a monster can kill a monster. That's what she was deep down. She was just another monster in the wastes that wormed its way into power. A monster that found out she wasn't as strong or as smart as she thought. When you fuck with the wasteland, it shows you how much stronger and meaner it is than you. As one more ghoul fell upon her, sinking its teeth into her throat, I gave my answer. The only ones that can help you now are Celestia and Luna. I hope they can forgive you for what you did in this place, and show you mercy when they arrive in the afterlife. May they have mercy on your soul, Wildfire. Rest in pieces. Her eyes went wide one more time. Then the ghoul at her neck ripped its throat out. Blood gushed across her body and the ground, pooling under her to mix with the rest that she had already spilled. Mixing with the blood of the griffins who had died to help save this place. Mixing with the tears she'd shed for her own life and the life of her son. Still, my eyes never left hers. Not until the light of her life vanished, and I knew she was finally dead. Wildfire, the former overmare of Stable 28, was dead. She couldn't hurt anyone anymore. When she finally passed, I lifted Dreamwalker, activated Sats, and fired on 6 of the ghouls who were still trying to rip chunks of meat off the dead pony. Each one fell in a shower of bone and ichor. The ones that were left howled and looked up at me. I didn't even flinch. I reloaded Dreamwalker, aimed down, and fired. I fired over and over until not a single one was left alive, their bodies falling in a small ring around Wildfire's corpse. Once that was finished, I turned and walked back towards my new family, my new life, and readied myself to say goodbye to my old one. Vervain was looking at me in horror. As I moved closer to her, she put a hoof on my shoulder. "Are you going to be okay, sweetie?" Without looking into her eyes, I replied, "I haven't been okay for a long time, Auntie." Then walked past her and up to Gigi. "Our contract is complete. Thanks for helping me take care of all this."
I wish we could have done more. It's us that should be thanking you, Shadow. You're the reason my daughter was able to live. Since you called me and Gina knew that she had to keep Fletch around to use her to get me to stand down. It gave her time to figure out a way out of the situation she was in. Also, you showed us that a new, much more dangerous team of Griffins is out there, hell-bent on taking down my talent company," she said. "I just did what I had to. The Red Talons had done a lot for me as of late, and I wasn't going to let some other talent company kill more from your group," I said solemnly. "Since our business here is done, I have one more thing I need to give you." "I wouldn't say it's done yet. I need to check on my Griffins and get reports from Aura and Eris on what happened before I arrived. But what did you need to give me?"
She pulled out a letter Javelin had given me and gave it to her. "This is a letter from the leaders of the Annihilators. She wants to meet some of your Griffins to set up a contract. This letter goes over all the details. I think you should do it. They aren't as bad as the stories make them out to be. Also, since I won't have time to deliver this other letter, could one of your other Griffins take this to the leader of Trotston? He's a pony named Rusty Shackles." She took both.
"I'll be sure to look it over, and I'll also be sure to get the other one to its destination when this is all finished."
"Thank you, Gigi." I walked past her and down towards the tunnel that led back into Stable 28. Before I was past the entrance, Gigi called out,
"No, Shadow. Thank you."
Vervain came running towards me, along with Tumbleweed and a few other ponies from the stable. When they reached me, Vervain asked, "What are you going to do now, Shadow?" I did my best to hide the tears in my eyes that were threatening to fall. I promised myself that I wouldn't cry anymore. I promised that I'd be stronger than before. I was going to let the Wasteland win again. When I knew I had control of myself, I said, "I expect I'm going to try and say goodbye to a friend. If I'm too late, then I can at least bury him. I won't let a good pony like Balefire be thrown into the incinerator." She put a hoof on my shoulder. I lost faith a while ago. You might live, Shadow. You need to have faith." I pulled away and continued walking. I lost my faith a while ago. All I believe in now is the power of the Wasteland. No matter how hard I try to help the ponies I love, the Wasteland... "Shadow, you need to wake up," Milkshake said, shaking me a little. I pulled the blankets over my head and moaned. The fight with the Overmare and the Unchained Talons was 2 days ago now. I was staying in my old room with Windthrasher and Wingnut. Vervain was staying with Milkshake for the moment, helping her learn what she needed to know about running Stable 28. When we went back into the stable after Wildfire's demise, Vervain explained to the ponies what had happened. With no heir to the office of Overmare, Vervain left it up to a vote with all the ponies in the stable. Sadly, there wasn't as many as I'd hoped. The battle had taken the lives of over 200 ponies, security ponies, normal citizens, and even fillies and colts. The stable was barely holding itself together, and after hearing that the Overmare was the reason for it all, it just brought up more stress. It took a few hours for the stable ponies, alone with my friends, to clean up most of the bodies and mess in the atrium alone. When it was all settled and the ponies who survived had finally taken a moment to rest, Vervain had them all come to the atrium for a meeting. It was there that she told them it was up to them to choose the new Overmare. I was surprised when most of the ponies wanted Vervain to take the role. She was the mare that every pony saw at least once during the day. She was always the kind of pony who was there when they needed her. She was like a family member to everyone in Stable 28. In the end, she told them all that she didn't want to take the role. She loved the ponies of the stable, but she wasn't right to take over. She told me later that she decided not to tell the ponies who she really was, at least for now. They had too much to deal with, and she wasn't sure they could take that kind of information right now. She told the ponies what she thought it would be best if Strawberry Milkshake took over. At first, some of the ponies weren't too sure, until Vervain said she would teach her everything she needed to know. In the end, Milkshake was named the new overmare of Stable 28. Balefire was still alive, thanks to the help of Aura and Sin, along with the doctor's apprentice, one of the stallions who'd been in there when I didn't get put into a job. Balefire wasn't good. Not yet. But Sin said he was past the critical stage. His right foreleg had been crushed and needed to be amputated. Because of that, he wouldn't be able to do his job anymore in security. In the old days, that would have forced a pony to retirement. If you couldn't do your job, you wouldn't have any use to the stable. That rule was one of the first acts of Overmare Milkshake. She got rid of it, saying that every pony in Stable 28 will be able to help the stable grow. He was still in bad shape, and even now he hadn't woken up. Aura told me that was because the stress his body went through and the meds he was on. She had hoped that he would wake up soon. When he did, he'd start to recover a lot faster. Aura was staying at the clinic with her sister to make sure she could be in there in case anything came up. I went to see him once, but I couldn't stay long. The sight of him laying there with his leg missing, tubes and hoses all over him, was too much for me. Over the last few days, I did my best to help the stable get up and running again. Wingnut spent a lot of his time in the R&D department, learning from some of the ponies in there and helping them with some of his own ideas. The last floor of R&D had been shut down, and the older ponies who were being used to experiment on had been let out to rejoin the rest of the stable population. When I was down there myself, I saw things they were doing to the old ponies. I almost lost it all over again. It was almost as bad as Dr. Cell in Stable 9, only instead of turning a pony into whoever Windthrasher was, like they were trying to make cyber ponies. A couple of the retired ponies were so mangled with parts of them replaced with cybernetics, it was surprising they were even still alive. I met both of them personally, and they told me that they were in so much pain that all they wanted to do was die. First, I tried to reason with them, telling them we could find a way for them to be normal again. They just kept on begging me, one even crying so bad that they started to hyperventilate. In the end, I put them both out of their misery myself. My friends offered to do it, but I couldn't let them. I knew both these ponies. They were both retired 2 years ago. One used to work in sanitation. He was always a nice stallion to me. He would give me sweets when I had run into him. The other used to work in the kitchen with Cream Puff. He was the one who started teaching Milkshake how to cook when we were both fillies. I wanted the last thing that they saw to be the face of a mare that they used to know. Some pony they both used to help make feel better. Shadow, I know you don't want to get up, but you can't sleep all day. You're going to get more depressed the longer you hide in here, Milkshake said, trying to pull the covers off. Leave me alone. I just want to sleep, I said, pulling the blankets back over myself. You have too much work to do. You don't have to worry about me. Worrying about the ponies in the stable is part of my job, Shadow, she retorted. I'm fine, just tired. Please don't worry about me, Madame Overmare. She lifted the covers up and moved behind me. Her forelegs wrapped around me. She pulled me close and nuzzled her face into my neck. It was a little awkward since she was bigger than me, and I tensed up as she said, Fine. If you don't want to get out of bed, then I'll just have to join you. What are you doing? She sighed and whispered, I'm worried about you, Shadow. You haven't said much to me about what happened when you left. You haven't said anything about what happened there, and you need to talk to some pony. You can't keep hiding away when you're feeling down. It isn't healthy. I know. There just hasn't been time. Every pony's too busy trying to help the stable right now. I can't take them away from their work. Even you have to worry about the stable and Balefire. You have a family now. I can't pull you away from that to make you feel better. She hugged me tighter. Shadow, I love Balefire and this stable, but I think you forget sometimes that I love you too. You've always been there for me when I needed you, and it's time that I do the same. I smiled a little, then said, What are you talking about? I was always the one who moped around this place after Mom left. I was always the one who was needy with you and Bale. I remember things differently. I remember the filly who would jump in to save her friends when she got into a stupid argument with the stallions in our class, then fought them when they called her small. I remember the filly who would pull pranks on the teachers just to make me laugh. I remember the mare you became, who wouldn't let any pony tell you who you should be. Now I see a mare who's done a lot of things to help the stable that never treated her like one of them. You could have just ignored the summons of Aunt Vervain, I guess, and let us all die, but you didn't. You've always been the pony who put her friends first, even after you never saw it that way. You're too nice to me, you know that? I said. Yes, but that's just who I am. I was starting to blush with her body pressed so close to mine. I wanted to pull away, knowing she didn't feel the same way I did. Something told me not to do so. She wasn't doing this to tease me or play games with me. She was just comforting a friend. I let my body relax, and I let one of my hooves wrap around hers, just enjoying her company. After a few minutes went by, I finally said, "Sorry I left without talking to you first. If I had the time, I would have. I'm also sorry I didn't tell you about how I felt back then. I was just too scared that you would see me differently. I didn't want to lose you as a friend." She took in a deep breath, and I could feel her body shaking next to me. I felt a tear fall on my neck as she started to cry quietly on the back of my neck. I wasn't sure what I should say, so I just let it be. A few minutes later, she said, "How could I ever see you differently? You were always different. That's what I liked about you. I never cared that you liked me that way. I would have just told you how I felt and been there for you no matter what. That's what friends do, Shadow." I rolled over and looked at my friend's tears-filled eyes, gave her the biggest smile I could muster. "You know what?" She sniffed, wiping one of her eyes with a hoof. "What?" "You're really cute when you cry," I said with a laugh. She pushed me away, doing her best not to let me see her smile, and failing. "You're just evil." "I may be evil, but at least I can make you smile." She sat up and smacked my chest. "You didn't make me smile. I'm just happy that you're talking finally." I laughed again, then got up to myself. "Whatever you say, Madame Overmare. Now, how about we get out of this bed?" "That's the best thing you've said to me all day." Her eyes went wide. "Oh, I forgot! Balefire woke up!" My eyes went wide. "How the fuck did you forget about that? If you would have said that in the first place, I would have not hid under my blankets." She jumped out of bed. "I was going to, but you looked so sad that I wanted to make sure you were okay first. He wants to see you. Or I said it'd be okay." I jumped out of the bed, my smile grinning from ear to ear. "What are we waiting for? Let's go." The two of us walked through the door into medical to find Aura talking with Balefire, who was just sitting up and looking better than the last time I saw him. When we walked in, he smiled as much as his bruised face would let him. "It's about time you found her." Milkshake moved closer to Balefire and kissed him on the cheek. "She was a little tired when I found her. Thought I'd let her rest a little more before having her get up." I went to go stand next to Aura as I asked Balefire, "How are you feeling?" He laughed and winced. "Like a griffin beat the hell out of me? But I'll live, that's what matters. Aura's been filling me in on what's been going on since I was out." His eyes fell on his half of a leg for a moment. "I'm just glad to see you're awake." He moved what was left of his leg and shook a little. "Don't worry about this. It's a small price to pay for helping save my stable." His eyes fell a little as he continued. "I just wish so many ponies didn't have to pay the price that they did." "It's the sad truth that you'll have to get used to in the wasteland. Sometimes good ponies or griffins die for no reason at all," Aura said. "But we're not in the wasteland. We're in a stable. This kind of thing doesn't happen in stables," Balefire said, looking over at Aura. "If you saw some of the stables I've been in since I left, you wouldn't say that," I remarked. Milkshake and Balefire looked at me confused. "What do you mean?" "Most of the stables around here aren't running anymore. Something went wrong in each one I've been in. I haven't found a single stable that's still active, like Stable 28. My friend Windthrasher, the Bat Pony, she's from a stable that went wrong. No matter how hard you try to ignore the wasteland, it always finds its way in," I replied. "I guess you're right. Looks like it's found its way in here, too," Milkshake said. Balefire shook his head and smiled a little. "Let's not talk about that right now. Shadow, how about you tell us everything that's happened since you left?" I groaned. "Thought you didn't want to talk about sad things." "Not about what happened here in the stable. We want to hear about what you've been doing, even if it's not all sunshine and rainbows," Milkshake replied. "It'll take a while." "That's okay. I'm not going anywhere," Balefire said with a wink. I sat there and started to tell them what happened to me over the past few weeks. I left out some of the boring stuff and skipped over things that didn't matter. I told them about going to Cartwheel, how I ran into the Raiders and what I did to get past them. I explained meeting Box Tape and Silver Snip, then how I saved Silver Snip from Crackerjack and his group of raiders. I told them about my journey with Stardust, going to the Steel Rangers and meeting Windthrasher and Wingnut. I had to go back and explain how I met Aura, who also threw in a little about herself. It took a few hours, especially with Aura there, who kept on making me go back and explain things. I watched as my friends' faces went from shock to surprise to horror and then smiles. Each part of my tale seemed to keep them both understanding what I went through once I was out there. When I got to the part about Cloak being my mom, Milkshake interrupted me.
You mean she was the one who was trying to kill you? I couldn't see Grim doing that to any pony.
She's not the same mare I used to know. I'm still trying to figure out what happened over the years. I'm hoping that I can still save her and Stardust. Stardust sounds like a good stallion, Balefire said. I hope you'll be able to find him and save him. I smiled at him. I do too. I finished the rest of my tale by telling them about the transmission I got from Vervain. What was done, Balefire asked. So Auntie is really this Vervain pony that used to work with your mom and the Steel Rangers? I nodded. Yeah, I wouldn't have ever guessed that. Same here. She doesn't seem like that kind of pony, Balefire said. She's a strong mare. Always has been. Guess I can see it now that I think back on things she was trying to teach me over the years. She's also the one who put the security program on my Mark II. I'm gonna have to ask her to remove it before I leave, I said. I was planning on doing that anyway, Vervain said from the door of the clinic. Didn't anybody teach you kids that it's rude to talk about a pony behind her back? We all smiled as she walked over to us. Gave her a quick hug. No, I don't think you ever taught me that one. She swatted my horn, but not hard, then looked over at Balefire. It's good to see you're awake, Balefire. Thanks, Auntie. I mean, Vervain. It feels weird calling you that, he said. She laughed. Honestly, it's weird to hear it after so many years. Then she looked over at me. Shadow, can I borrow you for a little while? Sure, I guess. I only came here to see Balefire since he's awake. He should get some rest anyway. He's gotta be in bed for a few more days, Nora said. You two go ahead. I'll keep an eye on him, Milkshake said. Alright, I'll see you two later, I said, waving to the three as we headed out of the clinic. Once we were back in the hallway, I asked, What's going on, Vervain? One of the Steel Ranger scribes just came in looking for you. I haven't seen her in a while, but I think it's Hazel. Oh yeah, I forgot she was coming with Sapphire and the others, I said. She hadn't been in the fight the other day when I met with Sapphire and the other two Steel Rangers that came with her. She said that Hazel stayed behind in Cartwheel with to talk with Box Tape about something. When Box Tape came to help in the fight, she hadn't been with him. She won't tell me what's going on. She said she would only tell you, Vervain said, sounding a little pissed. The disrespect. Guess I should go talk to her then. When is all the need for my attention gonna end? Being a hero on the radio sucks. See you guys later. I went to the atrium expecting some Steel Rangers with Hazel, but she was the only one. She was easy to spot. She was the one with the robot floating next to her. Watts! That's Lieutenant Watts to you, Miss Starr. Oh, my apologies. This Lieutenant Gutsy upgrade Miss Hazel gave me is ever so bothersome, he said. He looked a little different than he did with F&F tools. His whole body casing was green and bore the Steel Ranger symbol on both sides. Wow, Watts, you look, what's the word? Different? Hazel turned around and said, Yeah, his whole body was too damaged to repair, so we put him in this one. Transfer the consciousness was easy enough, but getting him to act the same was proven difficult, given the model was made for battle. Every once in a while, he sees one of us in power armor and goes completely mad. Probably because the circuit boards that contained Watts himself isn't used to the pretense of a combat inhibitor. Anyway, something I should tell you before we go back to Cartwheel. I smiled sheepishly. Yeah, his normal timid nature is about overpowering by the desire to, I don't know, be respected. What'd you want to tell me? She sighed. The airship bearing the Steel Ranger's symbol that's been spotted all around the area had disappeared completely, but it seems one of them has reached out to us. Apparently he's looking for you. Said something about making friends in this region is better than making enemies? Who is he? Can I trust him?
No, I don't think you should trust him. He might be one of us, but he's more in the gray area of trustworthiness. His name is Elder Wolfsbane, leader of the Lost Alicorn branch of Steel Rangers. I've heard stories of his exploits, and I'll tell you right now that he's not some pony you want to mess with. He's fucking ruthless. He makes the sins look like a joke when compared to him.
I closed my eyes and rubbed my forehead. What in Celestia's good name could he want to talk with me about, of all things? Oh wait, I know. He wants my help with something, because it seems like every pony in the wasteland needs a quick favor all the time. Or he wants me to go back with him to Lost Alicorn. I sighed. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a bitch or anything. I've just been under a lot of stress this past week with this happening to the stable like this. I just don't know how much more I can take. Mott's put up one of his pincer claw things. No need to worry about things so much, Miss Star. Things will eventually get better. Look at me. I was just a lonely old bot that was living in the past until you walked in my door. Now I'm a bot that's not to be trifled with in the likes of the wasteland. I didn't ask for your help, but I received in the long run. Others don't ask for your help because it's convenient. It's because you help whoever, or whatever, when they need you the most. The reason others look up to you for help is because you've become a symbol of hope to us all, even lifeless machines such as myself. I laughed softly. Thanks, Watts. It's nice to hear that from you. You think so highly of me. Before I could speak again, Hazel said, I don't really know what he'd want to talk to you about. Besides the recent introduction of synths to this part of the wasteland, they've been pretty confined to Lost Alicorn except for a few. But in the past year or so, more have been showing up here. If anything, he'll want you to talk to the ponies of our elder for him to talk some sense into her. As you know, our branch doesn't get out much, mostly because the different factions ganging up on us like the NLR and the Romans. Why in frozen hell would he think I convinced your elder to do anything? I'm not even a Steel Ranger. She gave me a look. Really? You're the freaking courier. The talk of everyone around here and even the radio host back east? Who's gonna say to no to some pony like you? You'd be surprised. I can even convince a colt to quit being a perv all the time, I replied. She laughed. What? That was random. You know what? He's waiting outside the stable for you. I have to go back to Cartwheel and meet up with the others, so I can't meet him with you. You let him near the stable? You just said he's not trustworthy. She stammered a bit. It's not like I purposefully did it. He just came here with me. Plus, he already knew where this place was, so it's not my fault he knows where you're at. I rubbed my forehead again as we started to walk towards the exit. This is heavy. I hope he doesn't have anything planned for this place. Ponies here can't take another assault.
He might not be a trustworthy pony, but he's still a Steel Ranger. We don't invade active stables. Even if this one recently had a mass population decrease, we wouldn't interfere unless this demanded our attention. For example, if Stable 28 was invaded by the NLR, which they would never do, or the Enclave, we would do something. She said, trying to calm my nerves a bit as we walked down the hallway, Watts following close behind. Guess you have a point. Another thing is that there really isn't anything of use for him in here anymore, shutting down the other floor of R&D, I said as we entered the stable entrance. Right, so he'd have no reason to threaten the stable, she said. I pulled the lever and waited for the door to open. I don't doubt that he wants to talk about helping with his synth problem, but coming all the way out here with this whole entourage thing really makes me uneasy. Couldn't he just come here with a few paladins and knights instead of a whole garrison and an airship? That is a bit strange. Standard procedure is just as you described. Normally, when the Elder is going somewhere, we send 2 paladins and a knight with her. Something else is at play here, she replied. I turned to my pip light as the tunnel grew darker. What do you think I should do? I can't immediately act like he's the villain in the situation. Well, he isn't. But he's still doing things that are out of the ordinary for an elder. She sighed. I have no idea what you should do. I guess just act as if everything's normal while we are proceeding with caution. Maybe he just
wants something from you that's not as bad as we think. All the stories I've heard about him might just be that. Stories. All these things you've heard could all just be bullshit? I asked. This isn't gonna be an easy conversation. It's gonna be fucking awkward. She stammered. I wouldn't say all those stories might not be true. Just some of them might not be true. However, I should warn you that he is pretty intimidating according to all the ponies that I know have met him. As we walked out to the wooden door used to be, I said, well, moment of truth. I guess this is farewell for now, Hazel. You too, Watts. Safe travels to you both. She smiled. Thank you, Shadow. I wish I could leave Watts with you, but I still have a few kinks I need to work out with his programming. Watts put up one of his arms as he was waving. Ah, yes. I wouldn't want to accidentally decapitate anyone. Good day to you, Miss Star. I look forward to our next encounter. I watched as they disappeared into the green haze of the valley, and turned my head to a pony standing alongside the rocky hill of the stable entrance it was set in. I was going to ask Hazel where exactly Wolfsbane was out here, but upon visual inspection it was clear that he was easy to spot. Even if he was in a crowd of 100 ponies, I could spot him. He was tall with a black mane and a beard that had a lavender dark coat. I couldn't see his cutie mark because of the large flight jacket he was wearing. He also had a giant scar going across his face that I found a bit disturbing. Every pony in the wasteland I met that had scars like this hadn't been all that good of ponies. As I approached, he kept giving me this stern look that felt as if I was digging into my soul. Hazel was right. He is intimidating. But I stood my ground as I greeted him. You must be Elder Wolfsbane. I'm Shadowstar, a courier with Equestrian Express out of Cartwheel. Nice to meet you. I think he actually smiled. He didn't look like much of a smiler. So formal. I like that in a pony. Yes, I'm Elder Wolfsbane, Elder of the Los Alaquan branch of the Steel Rangers. It's a pleasure to meet a pony such as yourself, too. I've heard tales of your exploits. I've also heard of your failures, such as the recent Appleton. Okay, that shocked me a bit. I'm usually praised as a hero by ponies I meet the first time. Either that or they want to kill me. Failures? Appleton wasn't a complete failure. I killed Pride from the Seven Sins of Equinety. And what do you mean by failures? The only one I can think of is Appleton. His face took that stern look again. You don't even realize when you fail because every pony praises you for saving them all the same. That is the downfall of a do-gooder, ponies like yourself, of whom have no specific allegiances. Being unbiased towards all factions doesn't do the good you might think it does. I smiled sheepishly. If it helps, I'm being hunted by the Enclave. He interrupted me before I could explain more. The Grand Pegasus Enclave would hunt anyone on the surface who does anything that hinders their actions in any way. You need to get a handle on who your allies are. Some groups can seem like a good cause when they truly are sinister. Take the New Lunar Republic, for example. They think they're helping the wasteland by restoring a government, when in fact they're making things worse by trying to tame a beast that's been wild for too long without the proper tools to do so. The ponies out here are trying their best to bring back a sense of normalcy around here. I think the NLR are some of the ponies trying to help with that at least. I also think the Steel Rangers are doing the same thing. Maybe just not as prominently as the NLR, but enough to make a difference, I retorted. He laughed mockingly. The Steel Rangers, huh? I think the chapter of Steel Rangers here are a bunch of cowards compared to the rest of the Wasteland chapters. All they really do is hide in their little bunker, away from the world and its problems. My chapter has seen battles that would put fear of the goddesses into any pony else. You see the scar on my face is a penalty of battle, and a lesson to know one's limits. After receiving this defacing gift, I learned that I have none, and I think that you don't either. You may have caused a lot of damage in the past when saving the day, or whatever you want to call it, but I think the right training, you could be one of the best. That's also why I've been coming to ask you for your assistance. Oh, great. Because we finally gotten to the good part. Yay! What does he need my help with? Is it your robot problem in Los Alacorn or something else? Show some respect. I still am an elder of the Steel Rangers. Anyhow, no. What I require of you is something that also benefits you. As you know, the Steel Rangers, and pretty much every other group in the Wasteland, are enemies with the Grand Pegasus Enclave. I've heard of a facility near Saints Parish and Winnepolis that is operated by the Enclave. They take young foals and train them to be killing machines over years of rigorous training. I would like you to put a stop to that. He replied, Why can't you Steel Rangers ever do anything yourselves? Last time I had to go into a stable for you ponies, it was a fucking nightmare, I asked. He gave me a look. I recall. Stable 9 was a mission with far too many mistakes. Not only were you and your companions almost killed by fiends after exiting the shelter, you were also almost led a horde of monsters into the wasteland, and caused massive explosion in the process of keeping that from happening. You're lucky that it was the fiends living next to that mountain instead of normal, hard-working civilians. I still didn't explain why I have to do this thing for you, I said, ignoring his comments. He sighed. The Steel Rangers can't risk going in there because the whole area is occupied by the Enclave, even the surface. If I were to send any pony of my garrison there, it could spark a war between the Steel Rangers and the Grand Pegasus Enclave, of which we aren't prepared for. However, their time will come to be erased from the face of Equus. So, I have to risk potential death, along with my friends, and travel hundreds of miles on hoof, so you don't possibly start a war? I said arrogantly. He smiled again for some reason. You underestimate the assets of the Steel Rangers. Don't worry about transportation. I'll arrange a sky carriage to be ready for you and your traveling companions to use. If I heard correctly, they're both flyers. One a Pegasus, the other a Griffin. I imagine they could both pull a sky carriage with you and your Colt friend inside. Thought about that for a second. There'd be another pony with us if we were going out to the Midwest. It wouldn't just be me and Wingnut. A friend of ours is coming too. His name's Doorstop, and he's from around that area. He could act as our guide. The only problem is I'd need to go get him from Frosty Summit Ski Lodge. Not to worry. I can send some pony to get him, and... I interrupted. He's former Enclave, so I don't think that's such a good idea, given that he might not be too keen on being brought somewhere by Steel Rangers. Could I send my friend Aura with him, so he doesn't do anything stupid? He scratched his beard as he thought about it. I suppose it shouldn't be any issue if she joined them. There's another matter I'd like to speak to you about. The Ministry. Okay, what about them? I asked, feeling another call for help coming on. I'd like to know what exactly you've learned about them in your travels around here. You might have noticed some paranoia from various citizens in different areas that centers around their synths. The Ministry has quickly been growing more powerful in recent years, and will surely take over what's left of Equestria, if given the chance. Any information you have could be vital in ending them for good. You talk a lot about ending ponies. I haven't heard anything about making the Wasteland a better place. There's also the fact that you haven't explained where the hell your airship is. It has to be yours. It bore the insignia of the Steel Rangers, and you seem like the kind of pony who likes big things like that because you think it makes you look tough or something. He sighed. You're perceptive, I'll give you that. Yes, the airship is mine. It's called the Palisade, the finest and most technologically advanced Zeppelin that still roams the equestrian sky. Unfortunately, we can't travel in the light of day, because the Enclave would surely spot it in the sky and attack. So we have it docked somewhere safe. Where? I asked. Somewhere safe. Let's leave it at that, he replied. Kinda strange that you'd bring that thing here just so you could ask me to do something for you. Suspicious, too. There's also the fact that you, an elder, came here alone, I said, prying for some more. You know, you're a rather difficult pony to negotiate with. I didn't bring my whole chapter here in the Palisade. Only about a third, so I could reinforce the chapter here with more capable soldiers. I was supposed to talk with Elder Appleslice from Hidden Sands in Cartwheel. She was nowhere to be found. She had a security detail with her apparently, but it seems as if they had lost track of where she'd gone. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? He explained. What? Elder Appleslice was gone? How could she just disappear like that? Hazel was right, something is going on here. I don't think it has anything to do with Elder Wolfsbane. No, I don't know anything about what happened with her. I also don't know anything about the Ministry besides the fact that they manufacture synths. He let out a breath through his nose. We'll see about that. However, I think we should get back to business. Will you assist him with this endeavor? Jeez, he's less trusting than I am. I guess that's what happens when no one trusts you as far as I can throw you because of rumors. Yeah, I'll go, but I expect something in return. He raised an eyebrow. How does knighthood in the Steel Rangers sound? Under my training, you could be promoted to paladin within a year, and be even more deadly than you already are, which is pure luck. What? Luck? Fuck this guy. I wanted to get in his face at that last remark, but I held my tongue and let out a breath. No, I don't want to be a Steel Ranger. Despite what you said, I'd still rather remain unbiased towards all factions excluding the Enclave. He frowned. Being unbiased is just plain irresponsible. There are factions out here that are enemies, and helping both sides just prolongs their quarreling. Eventually, you will need to choose a side. I understand that. But that's besides the point right now. What I want from you, for completing this task, is everything you know about the Grand Pegasus Enclave, and the various secret projects you might know about. That includes what they do to ponies in my friend Stardust's old home, Stable 97. He looked at me like a complete moron. Stable 97 is the facility I'm sending you to. We got intel from a reliable source that there are numerous abuses of technology there, including a form of mind control. Yep, I'm a moron. Well, now I know what you meant when you said this would be beneficial to me. I was told about what happened to your companion, and felt that I should lend a hoof while also striking a critical blow in the Enclave. If you do happen to help your friend, do you think he would consider joining us? He said. I almost laughed. I don't think the Steel Rangers is a group he'd want to join. Some of them took his favorite gun once. It really pissed him off. Not to mention, he was raised in an environment that hates them. At least I think. Pretty sure his stable told him about all his life. The outside world was poisonous. He sighed. I see. Well, anyway, I'll wait here for your griffin friend and contact my ponies aboard the Palisade to arrange transport to Frosty Summit Ski Lodge. This whole thing was still making me feel uneasy, but even after what Hazel said, he doesn't seem all that bad. A little demanding of respect he may or may not deserve, but not that bad. All right, send her out when I go back inside, and wait until she returns. I have some business to take care of here still. All right then, I bid you farewell. Ad Victorium, he said. I didn't know how to respond to that, so I just said, yeah. See you later then. My first thought when I got back to the stable was, why didn't he ask me about Mom? He should have known who I was by now, even if I did look different. Even if he didn't, the Mark II should have been a dead giveaway. I saw him look down at it when we first met out there, but he never brought it up. If he did know, then he would have said something. Maybe he was biding his time. Maybe he was showing me who he really was before he brought up the subject of Mom. Shadow, there you are, Vervain said when I got back to the atrium. I looked up and pushed my dark thoughts aside. Oh, hey Vervain. I thought you went to meet Hazel. Why did you two go outside the stable? She asked, looking concerned. She wanted to warn me about something, and she brought Elder Wolfsbane. He wanted to meet with me outside. She looked shocked. You mean he came here, huh? What did he want? He was alone, and he wanted to ask for help with investigating Stable 97. He said it was in Saint's Parish. I watched her as I spoke. That doesn't make any sense. Why? Because from all the reports I was reading of the wildfire, she was working with a Steel Ranger elder. She said that she believed that they were from Los Alicorn. The old elder from there is Wolfbane. And if he showed up here, but didn't try to come in and take over, the overmare died. Seems like it. He didn't even ask me about the stable or about Mom, for that matter. He only wanted to talk business and ask a few things about the ministry. She started to rub the bottom of her chin and thought, that's not like him. If he wanted this place, nothing would have stopped him from taking over. Possible that the pony Wildfire was working with was just saying they were an elder from Los Alacorn. You don't know a lot about him, Vervain. She shrugged. Yes, of course I do. I used to be a steel ranger in Los Alacorn before I transferred to Hidden Sands to be closer to my father. Back then, Wolfsbane was just a paladin. He was always driven to be the elder one day. He did kind of sound like a blowhard when I was talking to him. Like he demands to be respected by every pony, then he graces us with his presence. Has he always been that way? She rolled her eyes. Goddesses, yes. Every day of his life. So what do you think this whole thing is actually about? Him asking for my help, I mean. I asked. She shook her head. I don't know. It might just be that, but I think he has an ulterior motive. He always does things for a reason that benefits him on a singular level, while also benefiting his underlings as a sort of cover. He comes off as a blowhard, but in reality he's a brilliant strategist. That's probably why he was made elder at his age. Don't get me wrong, he's almost as old as I am. But no wise cracks about that either. It's just unusual for some pony to be an elder that young, unless there's an exception. For example, Apple Slice was pretty young for an elder. That's because she pretty much took the position. I doubt that Elder Wolfsbane would do something like that, but Los Alacorn branch is a little stricter than transferring leadership than that. He wouldn't have been able to do something like that very easily. I snickered a little. I take it the elder are usually pretty old then. Well, thinking about it, they are called elders after all. She gave me that look she always gave me when I was acting like a moron. Elders aren't always necessarily old, just older than most ponies. As she said that, something came to mind. Box tape. I've heard ponies called him Sentinel. What kind of rank is that? She smiled. My father was a paladin for many years. He was as smart as any scribe and tougher than any steel ranger around. Before I was born, he was almost a legend when it came to battle. He was respected by more than just the Steel Rangers in Hidden Sands. Most of the branches of Steel Rangers wanted him to join them. I couldn't help interrupting. If he could have joined the other Steel Rangers, why didn't he? I mean, why stick around that stuffy old bunker? She laughed at that. Back then we didn't use the bunker. When my father was a Star Paladin, the Steel Rangers in the area were stronger and more spread out than even the Los Alacorn branches now. And they had safe houses all over the Mojave. And they had almost as big of a presence as the Analados now. It would have been like that still if father would have taken over as elder when the elder died. You still haven't explained what a sentinel is, by the way. Just saying. She waved her hoof. I was getting to that. Anyway, my father could have joined up with any branch he wanted to. He was loyal to his elder, and he met my mother. She was a senior scribe by the name of White Oak. He would do almost anything for her, and he did. He stayed around here and raised a family, eventually setting down a cartwheel. When I was born, he wanted to put a life of Steel Rangers behind him and just be a father. He always did have a dream of being a courier and using his knowledge in the wasteland for something more than just fighting. Around this time, the old elder died, and many of the ponies wanted him to take over. He told them that he didn't want the job and only wanted to stay behind and cartwheel with his family. The pony who took over was his friend, Applejam. He asked my father to at least stay on as a Steel Ranger. He agreed, and Elder Applejam gave him the title of Sentinel. In the Steel Rangers, that title has only been given to 3 ponies. It's a rank higher than a Star Paladin, almost as the same as an Elder. The thing is, unlike an Elder, who runs one branch of the Steel Rangers, a Sentinel can give orders to any branch he wants. The Elder still commands their own branches, but a Sentinel can take over if an Elder is unable to perform his duties, if they are not present either. So, box tape's a big deal then? She nodded. Mostly, yes, though he doesn't do much in the Steel Rangers anymore. He opened Equestrian Express, and that's all he cares about apart from his family or the town. So, why were you so annoyed when you saw him during the fight? She sighed. Because he's too old to be doing things like that anymore. He may be my father, but he's an annoying ass. You two don't seem very close. She did hide away in a stable for 10 years without saying anything about him. She shrugged. We never were. I was closer to Mom than I was to him. Though he's always been a kind pony to me, as he is just about anyone else he meets. He wasn't a fan of me joining up with the Steel Rangers. It was just after my mom died, and he was upset with me. I ran off to Los Alacorn and became a scribe like she was. I was going to ask what happened with your mom, as I got my answer. How old were you when it happened? I asked. About Wingnut's age. She never could be the stay-at-home type like Dad was. She stayed on as a Steel Ranger even after my father retired. When she went out on a mission a little east of here, was exposed to taint. She didn't live long after that. You know, I keep hearing that word, taint. What the hell is it? I asked. I forgot you didn't wander far from New Pegasus. It's not seen around here much. You see, taint is a chemical of some kind that you see more east than you do here. No pony really knows what it is, but the effects it has on ponies is horrifying. Most ponies just outright die if they're exposed to too much of it, and you can't get rid of it once it's in your system like you can with radiation. If you don't die from it, then some ponies have been known to get strange mutations. It's a rainbow-looking fluid that was used as some kind of experiment during the war. That must have been one of the missing pages in my copy of the Wasteland Survival Guide. I'm guessing that once I head towards St. Parish, I should watch out for it. She nodded. Yes, you should. The problem with it is that you can't keep it out of the things like radiation suits or anything like that. It'll eat right through it. I'll make sure to watch out for it then when we leave. Speaking of which, I should find Aura and get her to get doorstop for me. She cocked an eyebrow. And this plan on going to the Midwest to save this Pegasus friend of yours? How do you plan on helping him if he's all the way out there? I smiled at him. Easy. He wants me dead right now. If I go to his old stable, he'll follow me. So are you going to use yourself as bait with a slim chance of him being able to be saved? Yeah. What else would I do? She laughed. You're just like your mother. I shivered at that. I hope not. She pulled me close and hugged. I meant that as a compliment. Grim used to do anything for a friend just like you, even if she only really had me and one other pony as a friend. One other pony I know that knew Mom was a mare named Laserlight in Frosty Summit. She didn't have a lot of nice things to say about her. To my surprise, Vervain's face was shocked and angry at the same time. You ran into Laserlight? Took a step back. Yeah, she helped me with a fight I had with the Sins there. She told me a little bit about Mom and you from back in the day. She was also the pony who got Nexus to help me unlock some of the files on the Mark II. I don't see what the big deal is. Vervain took in a deep breath and sighed. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just let my Steel Ranger training take over. Laser was a nice mare when I knew her, and probably still is, and quite a good fighter. The problem is, she hid something from Elder Applejam, and she was kicked out when Grim turned her in for it. You mean the fact that she's a Pegasus? You really have been getting around, haven't you? Yes, Elder Applejam couldn't let her stay. If the other Rangers found out, they would have thought she was a spy. Why were you so mad I brought her up, then? Because she found out your mother was from the Crystal Empire, and she knew your uncle. Wait, Laser never said anything about knowing Orichalcus. I remembered the fight with the Sins. She never brought up who he was then. No, not him. Stryker. He's a Dashite from what I last heard, but he still knew ponies in Nimbus that could have told him where Grim was. Luckily, your mom was able to do a quick memory spell on Laserlight. She forgot what she knew, but she didn't forget that there was something she did that pissed Grim off. Vervain said. You know, one of these days, you're going to have to sit down and tell me everything. Also, I want you to remove the security you put on the Mark II. Before she could answer me, Aura came to the atrium. There you are, Shadow. I've been looking for you. Oh, hey, Aura. Funny, I was about to come find you, too. Really? What do you need? I need you to go with 2 ponies from the Steel Rangers to Frosty Summit to get doorstop. She cocked her head at me. Why? Because we're going to Saint's Parish. He knows the area, and even better, he can help us with Stable 97. She rolled her eyes. I mean, why do I need to go to Frosty Summit to get him? Because you're the fastest flyer we have right now? And I don't know how else to get a message to him? She rolled her eyes. When I was there last, Nexus said he set up a broadcast signal there, so we could contact them if needed. If you boost the signal a little, you could be able to find it. Nexus said that he hasn't been able to make the signal strong enough yet to reach a long distance, but it's better than flying there all the time. You can use the terminal in my room, Vervain said nonchalantly. While you do, we can see about removing the security from the rest of the Mark II. Sounds like a plan. Well, Laura, can you at least round up the others so we can come up with a plan? I asked. Yeah, no problem. Also, I've been wanting to talk to you about Wingnut. Vervain smiled. How about I meet you two up there? I can find Wingnut and Windthrasher while you send out your message to your doorstop fellow. I just thought you were going to remove the security on the Mark II, I said. I will when you're finished, she said, walking away. Knowing it was useless to try and change her mind, I just shrugged and started heading towards my old room, Aura following close behind. As we walked by some of the stable ponies, I noticed most of them were doing all they could to stay as far away from me as they could. I'd been noticing it for a while now, but I was used to being shunned by most of the stable. It was just getting ridiculous. Is it just me or are the stable ponies avoiding me? I asked as we walked to my old room where I shared with Vervain. It's not just you. They don't want any of us in the stable shadow. I think they're hoping you'll leave soon and be taking us outsiders with you. You mean even after all we did to save them? They still don't want us around? I asked. They're scared and just went through a horrific experience. Honestly, I don't blame them for it. It could take a while before they're able to trust outsiders again, Aura said as I went into Vervain's side of the room and used the Mark II broadcaster to unlock the terminal. They don't have much of a choice. They can't go back to what they were doing before. They've lost too many. True, but right now they need time to relax and let what happened sink in. You should know that better than most. The wasteland isn't easy to get used to when you've lived your life in a place like this, cut off from the rest of Equestria. I guess you're right. I just hope they don't lock themselves away for too long. If they do that, then after a few generations, more ponies are bound to have a little inbred flipper kids. I brought up the broadcaster menu as before, and I saw 3 new channels. Aura pointed at one that said Game Smasher at 328 on it. That's the one he set up. I giggled. I think I could have guessed with a name like that. What else would Nexus use? As I hooked up the signal, Aura asked, What did Hazel want? I'll tell you later, I said, then spoke into the broadcaster. Shadowstar to Nexus or Violet. Who dares disturb the all-powerful Nexus? Nexus said from the broadcaster. Oh, goddesses, he's a fucking child. You know damn well who it is, Button Mash. My name is Nexus! He exclaimed into the microphone. I snickered a little at how angry he was getting over his stupid name. Nuh-uh. Laser said your real name is Button Mash. It sounded like he sniffed over the microphone like he was crying. Please, just call me Nexus. Laserlight is mean. That was a secret she was supposed to protect with her life. Okay, bored now. Yeah, whatever. I need you to tell Doorstop something for me. We need her to come with us to Saint's Parish. Tell him there's a chance we can save the cadet. Okay. Who the hell's the cadet? He asked. Do I always have to explain everything I say? It doesn't matter. He'll know who you're talking about. No way. I'm not saying anything to him unless you tell me who it is, he said mockingly. Now his crusty ass was starting to piss me off. Go tell him or I'll send Aura there to tell him and smash what's left of your tech while she's there, you little scabby freak. There was an awkward silence. Jeez, didn't have to go that far. Fine, I'll go get him and you can tell him yourself. But there's just that remark, I'm not ever letting you play any of my games again. Fine, whatever, I replied. A few minutes later, Doorstop's voice came through the mic. What's this about you saving the cadet? I don't know if you know this, but Stardust's been brainwashed by the Sins, and now he's the new Pride. I replied, explaining the situation a little. I heard something break in the background, and Nexus started crying. I knew those bastards took him. But what I didn't know is that they used the damn machine on his brain. I'll grind those damn Sins into paste for this! Hold up a sec. I have a plan that might be able to undo what's been done. Elder Wolfsbane from Lost Alicorn wants me to go to Saint's Parish and retake Stable 97 from the Enclave. I didn't even finish before his next outburst. What? You're letting a Steel Ranger order you around like you're some sort of lapdog? He exclaimed. I sighed. No, he asked for a favor. I'm not taking orders from anyone. The reason I'm asking you to help me is because I need a guide for the area. I don't know you don't show it, but you care about Stardust like a son. Plus, helping the Steel Rangers would really piss off the Enclave. I don't know how much you want to do that after what they did to you. I don't know if he was even angry or excited, but he let out an enthusiastic growl. Oh, yeah. I don't care if I have to suck him off to get under their skin. I'll help that Steel Ranger and the cadet. Where are you right now? I'll come to you. Okay, that was easier than I thought it'd be. I'm in Stable 28, near Cartwheel in Green Mist Valley. I'll send Aura to bring you back here so you don't get lost. She may or may not be with one or two Steel Rangers. Wolfsbane was going to send someone to get you, but I told him to send Aura with them so you didn't kill him. Nice tactical decision. I would have ripped them in two if they came here acting all high and mighty with that stick-up-their-asses attitude. I'll await her arrival and return to you at her location, even if she is a griffin, he said, calming down some. All right, then. See you when you get here, I guess, I replied, ending the transmission. Or looked at me awkwardly. What should I say to the Wolfsbane guy? He said he was going to send me with some Steel Rangers, but I think they'd slow me down because they can't fly. Wolfsbane's a bit stubborn. I hope he goes along with this. Just tell him what you said to me. If he still wants to send you with some pony, then go along with it. Just make sure to strongly imply that it'll take a lot longer if they're going to be with you. Also, ask him about the sky carriage he's going to provide us and where it'll be. I don't want to go somewhere out of the way just to get a fucking thing that's gonna slow us down. Time's of the essence. He cocked an eyebrow. That's a lot. Where the hell is he again? Just outside the stable. She sighed. Yeah, at least that won't be too hard. Don't want to have to stop in Cartwheel or wherever the Steel Rangers are right now just to fucking find Frosty Summit. What about Shrimp Numero Dos? I'm still his bodyguard, you know. Don't worry about Wingnut, I'll cover for you. Probably wouldn't mind you leaving, but he's a little conniving at times. So I think it'd be better if he doesn't know that you left until you get back, I replied, thinking it couldn't hurt to skip talking to Wingnut. He's distracted right now anyway with the R&D ponies. She started grabbing her things. Alright, guess I'll be going then. Wouldn't want to waste any more time. This place is a little too stuffy for me anyway. Been wanting to ditch this concrete prison ever since I got here. That got to me a bit. Hey, it's still my home, you know. Not anymore, it's not, Shadow. It used to be your home, she said as she walked out the door. Hope everything works out alright. I hate not having Stardust with us. Him not being here makes us feel, I don't know, incomplete. There's also the fact that he's a trained killing machine and that he could kill me from a distance without hesitation. Shit. I hope he's not stalking outside my stable right now. Pretty sure those loudmouth radio hosts have gotten even wind of what happened here and spread the word across the wasteland. On the other hoof, if he was, he probably would have shot me when I was out with Wolfsbane. Great, now I'm getting paranoid again. The worst part about waiting for someone to do something that takes a good amount of time is how to pass the time while I waited for Aura and for Vervain to come unlock the rest of my pipbuck. I was growing so impatient that I started messing around with stuff in her room. When I was little, I wasn't allowed to touch any of her stuff. Now that I'm a badass wastelander, I don't think she'd mind if I looked around at some of the cool stuff she had in there. I opened one of the drawers and, ew. That's not something I want to imagine the pony that raised me using. Okay, I learned my lesson, no more snooping. Snooping, huh? Always the curious one, aren't you, Shadow? Vervain said from the doorway. I didn't find any thing, I stammered. Sure you didn't. Anyhow, a mare has needs, you know. I'm sure you've come across worse in the wasteland, especially in New Pegasus. That town is full of smut. I hear, swear to Celestia herself, she said, approaching the terminal. All right, come here and I'll unlock the Mark II for you. Just be warned, this could take a while and the materials on there are pretty sensitive. Grimm's notes included. I don't think there's anything on her notes that would surprise me anymore after what she's become. I just want to know the truth about her. And about you. Shadow. Once these notes are unlocked, any pony can read them. If you get captured and they start looking through the pipbuck, they'll find everything that she was working on. The worst thing in there is information on Project Stargazer, the project where we found Aquila. Also, it'll take away the last security measure I put in place. That being, if you die, the information there will get deleted. Wait, you mean that was real? I wasn't really sure. I just kinda improvised that excuse when Gina and Wildfire captured us. Yes. I mean, it's not like I wanted you to die or anything. I had to make sure that if something happened to the information, it would be wiped out, she said as she started working at the terminal. I guess that would make sense, I said as Vervain kept on typing. Vervain, can I ask you something about Mom? I don't see why not. The mare I knew in the stable, the way she acted with my mom, was that the real her or just the way she acted? She looked away from her terminal, her eyes falling on mine. What do you mean? She wiped away my memories. How do I know that the mom I knew in here was the same mom that was from before I came here? She moved away from the terminal and pulled me into a tight hug. Grim lived a hard life. She did things that would shock you to keep her secrets hidden. But the way she was in the stable was the real Grim. She loved you so much that she left her family and friends, gave up the life she knew just to keep you alive. Even when she left you here, she did that to protect you. Finally, I hugged her back with a small smile. Thanks, Auntie Vervain. I just needed to know. I'm glad I had you here when she was gone. Without you, I don't know if I could have survived this place alone. Shadow, you'd be surprised what you can do if you put your mind to it. But I'm glad I was able to help raise you. I wasn't able to have a child on my own. Raising you was almost like having my own daughter, and I couldn't be prouder of the mare you become, she said with a hitch in her voice. Vervain, I see the same way I see my own mom. You're just another mother to me, even though I call you Auntie, I said as my smile got bigger. I'm lucky to have two moms in my life, even if one of them is a little nuts right now. I felt something wet fall on my horn as I pulled away when she got back to her terminal. Vervain did her best to hide her face from me, but I saw her wipe her eyes for a moment before she went back to typing on the terminal. A moment passed as she said, Thank you, sweetie. That means more than you know. Now open your broadcaster so I can finish this. I did and connected the Mark II to the terminal. As I did, data stored and started to flow through the Mark II's screen in my vision. As she said, it took a long time for the data to go by. Neither of us talked as she worked. The data flowing by was starting to make me feel sick. When it was finally over, the Mark II beeped and messages came across the screen. Mark II data has been unlocked. Broadcaster range restored to full range. Connection to Ministry of Arcane Science emergency broadcast system has been fully restored. Location marker, connection to pipbuck Mark II, AB, and SL has been reconnected. Both pipbucks are now not currently broadcasting location. Files have been restored. CMC hacking software has been restored. All former locations on map have been fully restored. All former data has been fully restored. The pipbuck Mark II SB is now fully restored and ready to use. Password for unlocking the pipbuck Mark II SB now available to use. Password last enter for removal is Morningstar. Please make sure you remember the password if you ever need to remove the Mark II. Thank you for choosing Stable Tech. Damn, that's a lot of stuff, I said. She smiled. I had to shut down a lot of programs on the Mark II to make it seem like a normal pipbuck. I couldn't hide the way it looked or some of its features, but I did my best. I'm surprised you're able to do as much as with this thing. She shrugged. Grim let me look over that thing for a long time before I set up the program. I set it up so that the first two security systems could be taken down by a pony who knew what they were doing, but I made sure that only Grim and myself could take down the last one. That would explain why Nexus couldn't get past it. She started to laugh. If he did, I'm sure that what happened was he was overheating and blew up. I nodded. It sure did. He was pissed. She smiled again. That's what he gets for trying to go up against my master programming. That's the thing. He said one of the ponies who helped make the Mark II. He used to work for Stable Tech. I thought if anyone could get past the program, it was him. That just shows how good I am at my job, she said, then looked thoughtful. Maybe I should have stayed a scribe. I hugged her again. Either way, thanks for helping me. It was my pleasure. Now I think you should start going to get ready. I'm sure Aura will be back soon. Good idea. By the way, what will you be doing when I'm gone? When I'm finished helping Milkshake, I'm going to head to Cartwheel to see about helping my father with his business. I've been stuck in here too long, and it'd be nice to see him more. He's getting old, and because of his diet of sparkle cola and greasy foods, I doubt he's going to last without some pony keeping him in check. You're not going to go back to the Steel Rangers? I asked. She shook her head. Being in here has shown me there's much more to life than tech and fighting for a cause. I couldn't agree more. I'm sure Boxtape would like to have some help around the place. Speaking of which, I have to head over there before I leave. I remember now that Mom left something there for me. She did? Before I could answer, the door to the room opened and Milkshake walked in. Shadow, do you have a minute? I was just getting ready to head out. What's up, Milkshake? She looked nervous before she spoke. We need to talk before you leave. Go on, Shadow. I'll see you when you get back, Vervain said, giving me one last hug. I followed Milkshake out the door to my old room. When we were walking down the hall, I asked, What's going on, Milkshake? You look like you swallowed a lemon. The look on her face got worse. We need to talk about Stable 28 and you. I didn't like the sound of that. What do you mean? I already watched that video in school. It was boring, and I didn't get the job here anyway. She didn't answer right away. We walked into the atrium where Windthrasher and Wingnut were waiting at the main level. When we started to walk towards them, Milkshake finally said, I don't know how to say this, Shadow, but the ponies here are scared of you and your friends. Yeah, but most ponies that have seen us fight will get over it. What does that matter? She stopped, taking a deep breath and looking me in the eyes. Shadow, once you walk out the door of the Stable 28, you won't be allowed back in. As overmare, I've decided it's best for the ponies who still live here that you're banished from the stable. Forever. Footnote. Level up. New perk added. Vengeful Spirit. Your time in the wasteland has made you cold-hearted and sometimes brash, causing you to crave divine justice upon your enemies. To some, this perk is more of a curse, but for you it may be a blessing in disguise to do what needs to be done in certain situations. However, indulging too much in this perk may drive friends and loved ones away, or drive them to put you in a mental institution. Quest perk added. Sweetie Belle's pipbuck. Due to your time using the Mark II, you've gained a great understanding of the rare pipbuck. Thanks to this and the help of your friends, you can now use the Mark II to its fullest advantage. You now have all the information you need to find out what the Mark II was used for, before and after the Great War. Careful, sometimes things from the past should stay in the past. What happens in New Pegasus stays